Welcome. In the first part of our story, a gentleman's valet spent a quiet evening at Hartwell Manor, preparing a leather traveling trunk for a long journey. Now the journey has begun. The same trunk has been carried aboard the Orient Express. Outside, the train moves steadily through the evening. Inside, the valet returns to his familiar work, while the rhythm of the wheels carries the room through the dark. He draws the polished compartment door closed behind him. The corridor falls away at once. The soft passing of feet, the low murmur of voices somewhere farther along the carriage, the faint clink of glass from the dining saloon. All of it settles behind the fitted wood, leaving only the small lamplit room, the dark window, and the steady rhythm of the train moving through the evening. For a moment he remains beside the door, one gloved hand resting lightly on the brass handle, while the floor beneath his boots gives its faint, continuous tremor. Not enough to disturb anything, only enough to be felt through the leather sole. A low and patient vibration that travels through the polished boards, through the narrow fittings, through the small brass catches and the straps of the luggage, and then passes on beneath him into the long dark line of the train. The compartment has already begun to take on the close, warm stillness of a room set apart from the world. The lamp burns in its glass shade, steady but not quite still, its flame leaning a little with the motion before righting itself again. Amber light lies across the varnished panels and gathers in the edges of the brass fittings. It touches the grain of the wood, the dark leather of the traveling trunk, the rounded corner of the smaller valise, the folded rug upon the berth, and the pale linen tucked neatly beneath its strap. Beyond the curtained window there is almost nothing to see. The glass holds a dim reflection of the room instead. The lamp, the brass, the valet's dark sleeve, the softened outline of the trunk resting low against the wall. Now and then a faint blur passes through the blackness outside, but it is gone before it becomes anything more than shadow. The train keeps its own pace. The room keeps its own quiet. He removes his gloves slowly, finger by finger, and lays them across the narrow ledge beside the door. His hands are warm from the carriage, the fingertips slightly marked by the pressure of the seams. He flexes them once, gently, then lets them settle. There is work enough to do, but none of it requires haste. The trunk stands where it has been placed, its broad leather sides darkened by years of careful use. Its brass corners catch in the lamplight in small, softened gleams. The straps are drawn flat across the lid, and the locks face outward. It is the same trunk that stood earlier in the dressing room at Hartwell Manor, though here, within the polished compartment of the train, it seems both familiar and newly changed. The scent of cedar still clings to it faintly beneath the warmer smells of lamp oil, leather, clean linen, and the distant trace of coal smoke held somewhere beyond the sealed glass. Beside it, the valise rests more lightly, ready with the smaller things of the night. The dressing case sits close at hand, its leather surface reflecting only a dull warmth. Above them, the berth waits in its narrow place, fitted and quiet, with the traveling rug folded at the foot and a small pillow set against the paneled wall. He crosses to the lamp first. The movement is small, measured, adjusted to the motion beneath him. One hand touches the brass stem. The other turns the little wheel by the shade, lowering the flame only a fraction until the light spreads more softly across the luggage and leaves the upper corners of the compartment in a deeper brown shadow. The room settles around the change. The brass grows warmer. The leather darkens. The window holds the lamp. He stands still for another breath, listening to the quiet fittings of the carriage, the muted hush beyond the door, and the even sound of the wheels below. Then he turns toward the trunk. He lowers himself beside it, one knee bending carefully to the carpeted floor, one hand resting on the rounded leather edge until the faint motion of the carriage passes beneath him and the luggage settles again against the wall. The trunk is broad and solid under his palm, its surface cool in places where the lamp has not reached it, warmer along the brass-bound corners where the light has gathered and stayed. He begins with the straps. The first lies flat across the lid, dark from age and use, its leather marked by small creases where it has been drawn tight and released through many journeys. He slips 2 fingers beneath the buckle and lifts the tongue free, slowly, without allowing the metal to knock against the lock beneath it. The brass gives only a small sound, no more than a muted click, and then the strap loosens into his hand. The train moves gently under him. He waits. The trunk remains still. He lays the first strap aside, smoothing it so it does not twist, then reaches for the second. He presses his thumb against the buckle, draws the leather through by a single notch, then another, feeling the dry grain drag softly beneath his fingers. When it releases, the lid seems to breathe, though it does not yet open. The cedar scent rises only faintly, held within. The locks come next. He takes the small key from the inner pocket of his waistcoat and turns it once in the left-hand lock. It resists for the briefest part of a moment, not from any fault, but from the closeness of good workmanship and the slight pull of the straps that have held it through the first miles of the journey. Then it gives, neatly, with a low, settled click. He turns the second lock in the same way. The lid is free. He places both hands along the leather edge and lifts it slowly, guiding the weight back until the lid rests fully open against the compartment wall. It settles there with a soft sound, leather against polished wood, held steady by the angle of the trunk and the quiet firmness of his hand for one additional breath. Then he lets go. The trunk remains open. A deeper breath of cedar comes up from within, mingled with pressed linen, wool, tissue, and the faint sweetness of lavender laid somewhere among the folds. The smell belongs to the dressing room at Hartwell Manor, but here it mingles with lamp oil and polished railway wood. Inside, nothing has shifted far. The layers remain close and orderly. Pale linen at one side, darker wool beneath its tissue, small folded things tucked into their proper places. He rests his hand lightly on the nearest folded layer, not pressing, only feeling the small steadiness of the packed things beneath his palm. He draws back the top fold of linen. The dinner shirt lies where he placed it earlier, wrapped cleanly, its white surface faintly blue in the dimmer reaches of the trunk, and warm gold where the lamp finds it. He lifts the shirt with both hands, supporting the folded front so the pleats remain true. It is not disturbed more than necessary. He carries it to the berth and lays it across the folded rug, smoothing first the front, then the sleeves, then the cuffs with the flat of his hand. Dinner aboard this train is still dinner, with linen, glass, and shaded lamps waiting beyond the corridor. He finds the collar box next, tucked along the side of the trunk. The brass clasp opens with its quiet snap, and the starched collars rest inside in their curved stack, white and stiff and shaped to the form of the case. He lifts one with careful fingers, turning it once in the lamplight, and sets it above the shirt. He closes the clasp and returns the box to its place. From the velvet-lined case beside the collar box, he takes the cufflinks and studs, each one catching the lamp in a brief point of gold and pearl, before he lays them beside the linen on a folded handkerchief. The train hums on. The window holds the room. He returns to the open trunk for the waistcoat. It lies under a sheet of fine tissue, dark and smooth, its buttons covered and still. He peels the tissue back without tearing it, lifts the garment from beneath, and lets its weight fall evenly over his hands. His thumb passes once along the edge of the lapel. A finger smooths the line where the cloth has held a fold. He lays it ready beside the shirt, leaving a little space between each piece, so that no sleeve catches, no button presses, no polished surface marks the linen. The evening coat comes next. He reaches deeper into the trunk and finds the heavier black wool beneath another layer, wrapped with the particular care given to a garment that must arrive without complaint. He draws it free slowly, one shoulder first, then the other, letting the fabric unfold by its own weight. The coat is darker than the room around it. Even in the lamplight, it keeps something of shadow, except along the edges where the brushed wool takes a low, soft sheen. He holds it before him for a moment, allowing the sleeves to lengthen and settle. He unfastens the dressing case just enough to reach the clothes brush where it rests in its fitted place, and he gives the shoulders a few light strokes, though there is little to remove. The brush moves down one sleeve, then the other, across the lapel, along the cuff. The bristles make only the faintest sound, a dry whisper against wool. When the coat lies smooth, he hangs it from the small fitting near the berth. He takes out the evening shoes last, each one wrapped in its own soft cloth. Their black leather reflects the lamp in a muted oval. He unwraps the first and sets it on the carpet, then the second beside it, toe to toe, heel to heel. With a clean square of flannel, he passes once across each toe, once along each side, once over the heel. The shine deepens, not brightly, but quietly, like dark water under warm light. Gloves and handkerchief are placed near the shirt. The tie is laid flat. The studs rest where they can be found by touch as much as sight. Last, he checks the small cigar case and the silver match safe, laying them beside the gloves where they may be slipped into the evening coat before the gentleman goes on after dinner. Everything is in order. He turns back to the open trunk. The disturbed tissue is smoothed down again. The linen fold is returned. The cedar breath is lowered back into the dark. He brings the lid forward with both hands, guiding it down slowly until the brass edge meets the leather below, then draws the straps across the top. The trunk is closed. The dinner things wait in lamplight. Beneath the floor, the wheels continue. The dressing passes quietly, without words. Each piece is offered in its turn. The collar is fastened. The studs are set. The coat is held open and received. When the gentleman leaves for the dining saloon, and later for the smoking car beyond it, the valet draws the door closed softly. On the leather seat, the traveling coat has been left folded, with the dark wool holding a little of the earlier air. The hat rests on the narrow shelf. The gloves lie palm to palm beside it. A scarf has been loosened and placed near the coat, one end hanging in a soft fold toward the floor. The valet stands for a moment in the quiet. Then he steps toward the traveling coat. He lifts it from the leather seat with both hands, taking its weight first beneath the shoulders and then along the folded length of the sleeves, so that the wool does not drag or twist as it leaves the place where it has been laid. The cloth is heavier than the evening coat, denser in the hand, with a little coolness still held in the outer folds from the earlier platform air and the passages between carriages. For a moment he holds it before him and lets it settle. The train moves beneath his feet, steady and low. The coat moves with it, only slightly. He lays it across his forearm and picks up the clothes brush once more. He begins at the hem. The brush passes downward over the dark wool in slow, even strokes, lifting the faint dust gathered from station floors, carriage steps, and the long-covered platform where the journey began. The dust is slight, the kind gathered even on a train made for comfort. There is no mark of consequence, only the small gray trace of travel, the ordinary powder of movement from one place to another, held in the edge of the cloth and along the lower seam. He brushes one side of the hem, then the other. The bristles pass softly. The wool deepens again. He turns the coat carefully and works along the cuffs. One sleeve rests over his hand while the brush moves from the elbow downward, following the fall of the fabric. At the cuff, he pauses, using his thumb beneath the cloth to support the edge while the brush clears the seam. A few pale specks lift away and vanish into the lamplight. He repeats the motion on the other sleeve, matching the pressure, matching the pace until both cuffs lie smooth and dark. The wheels continue under the floor. The lamp flame leans and steadies. He lays the coat across the back of the leather seat and smooths the shoulders with the flat of his palm. The cloth gives a little under his hand, then rises back into shape. He brushes across one shoulder, down the back, and over the other shoulder. Not quickly, not heavily, only enough to restore the nap and settle the garment after its hours of wear. The faint scent of cold wool and coal smoke rises from it, gone almost before it is noticed. The collar has been turned up against the evening air. He lowers it and presses along the fold with 2 fingers, slowly from one end to the other. Then he brushes beneath it, where a little dust has gathered close to the seam. When the collar lies flat, the coat seems quieter. Its lines returned to themselves. He lifts it once more and hangs it from the small fitting near the wall. He sets the shoulders evenly. He draws one sleeve forward, then lets it fall. The other follows. The coat hangs still. Only the train moves. He turns to the hat on the narrow shelf. It rests crown downward in the lamplight, its brim casting a soft oval shadow on the polished wood beneath it. He lifts it by the brim with both hands and turns it upright, careful not to press the crown. The felt is smooth and firm beneath his fingers, warmer along the side facing the lamp, cooler on the side turned toward the window. With a small square of clean cloth, he wipes the brim in one slow circle, then another. The cloth follows the curve, passing over the outer edge where the dust is finest, then under the brim where the shadow gathers. He checks the band with his thumb, smoothing it where it has lifted slightly. Nothing more is needed. He sets the hat back on the shelf, angled securely against the panel, where the movement of the carriage will not draw it toward the edge. The gloves lie beside it, palm to palm. He takes them up together and separates them gently. The leather is soft, marked faintly at the knuckles, and warm where it has held the shape of the hand. He lays the first glove across his palm and smooths the fingers one by one, pressing from the base toward the tip, easing each narrow length back into place. The thumb follows, then the palm, then the wrist. He sets it down. He takes the second glove and repeats the same quiet work. Finger by finger. Thumb, palm, wrist. When both are smooth, he lays them together again, the fingers aligned, the cuffs even, the leather lying flat with a small dull sheen where the lamp touches it. The scarf has slipped partly from the seat, one end hanging toward the carpet. He lifts it before it can brush the floor, drawing the soft wool through his hands until its full length is gathered. He lays it along the seat and folds it once, then again, making each fold broad and loose so the wool is not creased. The folded scarf goes beneath the gloves. The gloves rest upon it. He bends to the traveling shoes last. They stand near the base of the seat, placed aside after the gentleman changed for dinner. Their leather is not bright like the evening shoes. It is softer, more matte, with a trace of dust along the welt and a faint dulling at the toes. He lifts one shoe and rests it across his hand. The sole is firm and dry. The edge carries the smallest line of grit from the platform. With a shoe brush, he works along the sole first, short, careful strokes that make almost no sound against the low rhythm of the train. Then he wipes the upper with a cloth, circling over the toe, passing along the side and around the heel. The leather clears gradually, returning to its quiet brown-black finish. He sets the first shoe heel to the wall. The second receives the same attention. Sole, side, toe, heel, cloth over leather, brush over edge, a final pass of the thumb near the seam. Then it joins the first, heel to wall, toe to toe. The traveling things are restored now. Coat hanging, hat secure, scarf folded, gloves smoothed, shoes aligned. The valet stands in the center of the compartment and lets his hands rest at his sides. The trunk is closed. The valise waits. The dressing case is fastened. Beyond the door, the corridor is hushed again. Farther along, the smoking car keeps its warmer hush of leather chairs, low lamps, and the faint blue ghost of cigar smoke. Beneath the floor, the wheels continue their soft, even turning. The lamp holds steady in its glass, and the dark window gives back the small room, ordered and warm, moving quietly through the night. The valet turns toward the valise. It waits where it has waited since the beginning, smaller than the trunk and lighter in its purpose. Its leather sides gently rounded, its handle folded flat against the lid. He kneels beside it and rests one hand on its lid. The leather is warmer than the trunk, softer from more frequent handling, marked at the corners where it has been lifted from carriage to platform, from platform to cab, from cab to hall. Its small brass catches are duller than the trunk locks, but they take the lamplight all the same, holding it in narrow lines along their edges. He releases the first catch, then the second. The lid rises easily under his hand, opening to the scent of folded linen, soft wool, shaving soap, and the faint sweetness of lavender water from a corked bottle wrapped somewhere within. Unlike the trunk, the valise is not deep. Everything inside has been chosen for reach and use, arranged for the few private hours between evening and morning. He lifts the nightshirt first. It lies folded near the top, white and plain, without the sharper formality of the dinner shirt. The fabric is softer, warmed slightly by being held among the other things. He carries it to the sleeping car berth and lays it across the folded rug, smoothing the front with his palm, then the sleeves, then the hem. The cloth settles without sound. Beside it, he places the dressing gown. He unfolds it carefully, letting one sleeve fall, then the other, before drawing the belt straight and laying it along the waist. A small fold near the collar is eased with the side of his hand. The fabric holds the lamplight softly and gives back almost none of it. The slippers come next. He takes them from the lower corner of the valise, one nested lightly against the other, their soft leather soles pressed together. He separates them and sets them beneath the berth, toes outward. He adjusts them once so they sit evenly on the carpet and will not slide when the train leans into its motion. The wheels continue beneath him, a low, even turning. He returns to the valise for the towel. It is folded twice, clean and pale, with a faint line from where it has been pressed. He unfolds it once and lays it over the narrow washstand rail, smoothing the edge so it hangs straight. The corner brushes the wood, then comes to rest. The soap box is small and oval, with a fitted lid that closes closely enough to keep the scent inside. He sets it near the basin and turns it so the lid may be lifted easily later. A mild fragrance rises from it, clean but not sharp, mingling with lamp oil, leather, cedar, and the last faint trace of coal smoke still held in the room. The comb and brush are next. The brush has a dark wooden back, smooth from years of use, its bristles set close and even. He lays it flat on the washstand shelf and places the comb beside it, teeth inward, aligned with the edge of the wood. He moves it a fraction with one fingertip until it sits exactly parallel. From a wrapped corner of the valise, he takes the small bottle of lavender water. He checks the cork without opening it, pressing it gently with his thumb until he is satisfied it is firm. The glass is cool, the liquid within catching the lamp in a pale, wavering gleam. He places it near the soap box, then reconsiders the motion of the train and lays it instead in the shallow tray beside the basin, where the raised edge will hold it safely. A second small bottle follows, darker and rounder, with the warmer scent of bay rum held beneath its stopper. He checks this one too, then sets it in the same tray, side by side with the lavender water, both resting against the folded corner of a cloth so they cannot knock against the wood. The remaining contents of the valise lie folded and undisturbed. He smooths one hand over what is left inside, returning a loosened edge of linen, tucking down the corner of a soft cloth, making the small interior orderly again. The washstand holds its quiet arrangement. Towel, soap, brush, comb, bottles, and the small tray catching the lamplight. He remains kneeling a moment beside the open valise, his hands resting lightly on the leather edge while the compartment moves on through the dark. The trunk is closed. The traveling clothes are restored. The night things have taken their places. Beneath everything, the wheels continue. From the valise, he takes the small folded cloth that protects the shaving things. It lies near the side, tucked beneath a layer of linen, wrapped around the few objects that will be needed when morning comes. He lifts the bundle carefully and sets it on the narrow shelf beside the washstand, where the lamp reaches it without brightness. The cloth is soft from use, faintly marked by the shape of what it holds. He unfolds one corner, then another. The razor rests inside, closed and still, its handle dark against the pale cloth. He lifts it with 2 fingers and lays it flat beside the soap box, not near the edge, but a little back, where the shallow tray and the wood lip of the shelf will keep it safe from the train's movement. Beside it, he places the shaving brush, bristles upward for a moment while he checks the handle, then turns it gently and lays it on its side so it will not tip or roll. The shaving soap follows. It is round and dry, held in a small fitted dish with a close lid. He checks the lid with his thumb and sets it near the brush within easy reach of the basin. A small cup is taken from the same folded cloth, plain and pale, its rim smooth beneath his fingers. He places it beside the soap, then pauses as the train gives a slow, almost imperceptible sway. Nothing moves. That is the quiet skill of the carriage. Movement everywhere, disturbance nowhere. Still, he shifts the cup a little closer to the wall. The washstand is now complete. Towel on its rail, soap box near the basin, comb and brush laid flat. Lavender water and bay rum resting in the shallow tray. Razor, shaving brush, shaving soap, and cup arranged in quiet order. He returns to the valise and lowers the lid, guiding it down with both hands until the leather edges meet without a sound. The first catch closes softly. The second follows. He draws the strap over the lid and tightens it by 1 notch, firm enough to hold, gentle enough not to mark the leather. He rises slowly and looks over the room. The trunk remains strapped. The valise rests secure beside it. The dressing case is fastened. The traveling coat hangs near the wall. The hat is steady on the shelf. The gloves and scarf are folded together. The traveling shoes stand heel to wall beneath the seat. He checks the bottles. He nudges the folded cloth in the tray so the glass rests against softness, not wood. The brushes lie flat. The soap box is closed. The razor is safely back from the edge. He crosses to the curtain and draws it more evenly across the dark window. The glass gives back less of the room now, only a dim patch of lamplight and the softened line of his sleeve. Then he turns to the lamp and lowers it a fraction, until the compartment settles into a deeper amber hush. The train moves on. The little room holds. Everything is ready, but nothing is final. The trunk, the valise, the coat, the shoes, the washstand, the soft linen waiting on the berth. All of it rests in its place while the wheels continue beneath the floor, steady and low, carrying the quiet compartment through the dark. He stands for a while in the center of the compartment, his hands quiet at his sides. There is nothing more to arrange. The scents of clean linen, leather, and cedar remain lightly in the warm air. The curtain holds the window dark. The lamp burns lower now, deep amber in its glass, touching brass, wool, wood, and linen without brightening them. The upper corners of the room have softened into shadow. The floor moves faintly beneath him, and the fittings answer only with the smallest settling sounds, quiet as breath within the walls of the carriage. Beyond the door, the corridor is hushed. Farther along the Orient Express, in the dining saloon and the smoking car, the evening continues without entering here. He lowers his gaze once more over the room, not searching, only seeing. The trunk, the valise, the berth, the washstand, the hanging coat, the curtain, the lamp, all in place. The train moves on. The wheels below, the warm wood, the low light, the quiet.